It was a fight at the Bat Rack north of the border for the Royals on Thursday night. They just bludgeoned the Blue Jays 13-2. Jack Caglianone with an unbelievable performance. Noah Cameron continues to pitch well. Just an all-around great game. This team's won 12 of 14 games and won this series. Now headed to Cleveland for the weekend. This is the KCSN Live Royals post-game show. I'm Joel Penfield. Kevin O'Brien joining me as well. How you doing, Kev?
Doing well. I mean, and Royals are playing their best baseball of the year. You just wish it mattered more. At least the odds were better, but hard to complain from what we're seeing. Like you said, 12 out of 14, taking 2 out of 3 in Toronto, and kind of killing right now the Blue Jays' playoff hopes. In a season like this where you're pretty much not playing for much, it's nice that you can at least put a damper in some other teams' postseason hopes.
Yeah, playing spoilers sometimes a fun role to have. If you're not going to be able to make the playoffs, at least make everyone else miserable involved with it. And that's what the Royals seemingly have done. It was a bit of a death knell to the Tigers, who were trying to be resurgent and make a run post deadline. The Royals sweep them, and then you go into Toronto and take 2 or 3 there, and then you can go play spoiler with Cleveland as well, who's in the wild card chase. So, but again, like I think, as I talked about on One Royal Way that came out this morning, like I just want to see this team win games because it does lend credence to the front office and the coaching staff's belief in the roster and the core of the roster, I should say. There's other things they need to fix, but like I think at the core, the guys that are producing are the dudes that are going to be around next year. It's not a guy on an expiring contract or a veteran on a 2-year deal. It's on a hot stretch that isn't going to be around for the long term. What we're seeing is Jack producing at a high level, Bobby producing at a high level, Vinny during this stretch has been producing at a high level. Salvi's even had a bit of a resurgence. So it is guys that are going to be on the 2027 Royals that they need to be really good, and they're doing it now. I don't know how much you can bet on season to season momentum, but it at least gives you the vision and it allows you to see like, okay, this is here, right? And you hope that they are able to carry this thing forward like they did in 2023 at the end of the year, where that team that was bad, those guys, especially Bobby and a couple of the others, made you believe like, hey, maybe there's something here as we move forward, and that ended up being the case.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think, like 2023 is a really great example of that. You can say, oh, this is the typical Royals, bad start and then a strong finish. But, the 2024 team had a great start in 2024, and that was mostly due to a strong finish in 2023 with their core. 2025 was really interesting because they also played strong at the end of the year. But again, that was with guys like Mike Yastrzemski, guys that weren't going to be really around. So I think it's a little bit different this time around. And I think you got to be encouraged about that, especially that we're seeing kind of guys like Jack Caglianone continue to take the next step. Vinny looking like his 2025 self finally after kind of dealing with a lot of injuries this year. Salvi at least showing that he can be a DH type. I mean, he's been a lot better in the second half than he was in the first half. So there's some good things that you can kind of say, hey, like this is something that doesn't feel like a mirage. We can build on it for 2027.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk about the offense here early because that is the star of the show. And that's on a day where Noah Cameron still gives you 6 innings, a 2-run ball. And you go out and get 13 runs. And it was instant offense from Carter Jensen with a leadoff home run on Spencer Arrighetti. Just sinker that didn't sink, second pitch of the game, and he hits it to the second deck. And they call that one 421 feet. Come on now. Like, what is StatCast doing? That was not 421 feet. I watched that home run. I don't know where do they come up with some of these projections sometimes. But regardless, Carter started off all 3 games in this series with a hit. He is starting to figure it out again. And the power outcomes are starting to come back for him as well. We saw it in that Detroit series. He had the big home run on the Friday night. So that's 2 home runs this week. He's got 18, 5 more over the next 5 weeks. And he passes Carlos Beltran for the most home runs in Royals history, age 22 or younger, in a full season. So he's getting going again, and he had scuffled for a while, which we noted as he took on the brunt of the catching duty, and he's a rookie in his first big league season. Like that confluence of events just it hit him like a Mack truck there for a few weeks. But it seems like now he's starting to come on the other side of it and catch a little bit of a second wind. And I do think winning breeds some of that. It'd be a lot harder to go to the yard when you know you're catching 4 days a week for a team that's losing a whole bunch. But when you're the catcher of the team and you're the leadoff hitter for the team that's winning, a little bit easier to show up to the yard and get ready to go. And so I think there's a little correlation, causation there to a little bit of Carter's resurgence, but obviously good to see. And that was just the start in this one. Jack gets a 2-run single in the second. And yesterday in the loss, mired by they had a bases loaded opportunity with 1 out and didn't get anything. That was really the difference in the game. But they also had a bunch of opportunities with hard hit outs that were line outs, deep fly balls, and the batted ball luck didn't go their way. Jam shot single from Caglianone, and the baseball gods are giving it right back. And then it was just off and running. It was 4-0. Noah Cameron pitches really well. The 6th spot in the 6th was just beautiful. Simeon Woods Richardson has got to have just PTSD flashbacks about facing the Royals because they just pelt him every single time, it feels like. And he's in a different organization. He was in the division. Now he's back with the Twins, or back with the Blue Jays, which was his original organization.
Yep.
And now he's back and still got to face the Royals, and they still just get after him. Got the first out of the inning. Poor John Rave. That's just tough. It's an offensive onslaught, and you're the only dude who didn't get a hit, and you made the first and third out of that inning. That's going to be a little – that along with Luke Maley grounding into a double play against a position player is going to be a couple little kangaroo court moments probably in the dugout. But Isbell double, Bobby double after a Jensen walk. Cags hits a 112. It's a single because he hit it so damn hard. Vinny homer. And it's 10-0 just before you felt like you could blink. And it's 10-0. Boo birds raining down. And that was essentially the game. But just obviously so there are some individual performances to get to. We're obviously going to talk about Jack. But just up and down the lineup tonight, it felt like, as I said off the top, it was a fight at the bat rack. Like those dudes were just ready to go. They've seen Arrighetti. I feel like every time they faced him, they've just punked him. And that happened again tonight. And then it didn't matter who the Blue Jays threw out there tonight. Lorenzen got knocked around. Woods Richardson gives up 6 earnings in an inning when he had been really good out of the bullpen for the Blue Jays. Really the first time he's gotten blown up since going there. Just all around good to see, especially after a night where running into some tough luck, you get shut out, winning streak ends, but then you show up the next day and you put up 13 runs. I mean, it's big time.
Yeah, you got to give the offense credit. As you kind of said, it would have been really easy that, especially after kind of how deflating that loss was, you had a chance to go 10 in a row. And they got it started off on the right note, right, with Jensen just leading off with a homer. And I wonder, too, it's like, I mean, we're in Canada, so we have maybe the kilometers or the feet and all those kind of things.
Yeah, there's a conversion problem. That would make sense.
Yeah, so like us just throwing everything off. But like you said, it was just a really solid performance. Again, they got after both Arrighetti as well as Simeon Woods Richardson, who, I'm guessing that's why the Royals didn't put a claim on him when he was available on waivers, because they're like, we want to continue hitting against this guy. We don't want him in the organization. And so, and they really made him pay. And again, just to kind of see some of those at-bats that we saw, especially that Vinny home run, it's just like you're worried about the hamate injury. When you hear hamate injuries, you worry about the power, and boy, like it's just really come on strong recently. And that's a really good sign for 2027, because if he's back in that form, they have what they need in the 4 spot. And I think that helps Jensen, seeing Vinny really hitting it well again, because now it's not like, it's just Bobby back there. It's Bobby and Cags and Vinny. It's like that's going to help Jensen as well. And I think he's just feeling a lot more comfortable knowing that there's more protection behind him.
I think this is just my thing, because I think a lot of the conversation people have surrounded with Vinny has just been related to the fact that Jack has broken out in the way he has.
Yes.
People think that's your first baseman. Vinny, love you, see it. It's like, you can't give up on that guy. Like, I'm sorry. Like, and maybe it's just because I have a personal connection to the guy that I'm going to be the last off the train when it comes to Vinny. And I recognize that. I recognize that bias. But I also know that what we saw the first 3 months of the season is not who Vinny is, because it wasn't what he was in 24. It wasn't what he was last year. And then since he's been actually healthy with and it's weird because obviously you have the injury concerns with him. because of the IL stints, right? But when you think about the 2024 injury, super weird, super fluky, reaches for a ball, broken thumb. Like that could happen to anybody, unfortunately. The hamate bone, that just goes, right? It's like a UCL for a pitcher. It's just you take a swing and that thing just snaps. It happened to Corbin Carroll. It happened to Francisco Lindor. It happened to Jackson Holliday all in spring training. It happened to Blake Mitchell last year on a swing. I remember it happened to Kyle Isbell early in his minor league career, I believe it was. So it's one of those things that just happens, and then it's just, okay, you got to deal with it. So it's not like it's a constant soft tissue injury or the back thing with Michael Massey or the hamstring with Michael. It's just some weird fluky stuff that's put him on the shelf. But when he's right and when he's posting, he's been one of the more productive hitters in this lineup for a 3-year stretch. And if he can continue to do this for the next 2 months, then I think, okay, you're still going to pencil him into the lineup next year. There's no question. And you're going to find a way to make them coexist, because I still think there's a world where those guys coexist. Case in point tonight, them hitting 3-4, where they combine for 7 hits and 9 RBIs. Right. Like that's the type of vision you could have for 2027 with those dudes hitting back to back, lefty be damned. Those dudes are run producers.
Yeah. And I think one of the considerations we have to take when it comes to both Vinny and Jack is, like, it's not like Jack is like some awesome Gold Glove first baseman, right? And
he's not. I was shocked when I looked at the numbers.
Yeah, he's actually been a negative defensive player at first base. And so, if you're like, hey, he's negative in right field and he's negative at first base, I'd rather have him just in right field because he has the arm. I mean, at least we know that, like, Cags has and
he's hitting, so it doesn't really matter. The defense really doesn't matter.
Yeah, and we saw that tonight. I mean, I couldn't really tell on that play. It looked like he misplayed it a little bit, or on that one that probably should have been the end of the inning. But again, his arm strength makes up for so many of those bad reads too. And I'd rather utilize a guy who has a really elite skill, with, like, he can really throw the ball, rather than at first base where he's really not utilizing that at all.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good point. And I know that there is some concern about just having a big guy, 6'4", 250-pound guy playing right field. We've seen him have a couple little, tweaks during the year. He had the shoulder. I think it was in Minnesota when he ran into the wall, and then just the ankle just hit the bag funny. Probably don't want to have that, over 162. I think they'll have to figure something out where he can play some DH or first base to get off his feet a little bit. But predominantly, I think he can still be in right field. And he's a good athlete for his size. So that doesn't concern me. It's not like watching Adam Dunn roam around out there, which that was an adventure back in the 2000s. But again, like, his arm is a weapon. You saw that yesterday. He multiple times uncorked a couple throws that were probably 98 from the outfield, and it prevented runs, or it was very close to getting runners. So I do think there's that. Let's talk about Jack on the offensive side, though. 5 for 6, 6 RBIs. I don't care that the home run was off a position player. Like, we all knew it was going to happen. Eric Hosmer was like, look out in right field, and for the love of God, don't hit it up the middle. Like, look out everywhere. And I even had that moment when he hit the single, the long 112 EV single. They had the infield drawn in. I'm like, look out. If you're at second base or you're at first, you're no dodge if he catches that thing a little low. Thankfully, he hit it about a 20-degree launch and got it up. But I mean, it's just another game in August. He's been unbelievable, really, since June. Mm-hmm. And on the season now, the slash is 282, 332, 500 slug, which is top 8 in all of baseball. And that's not just for the sample I gave. Like, that's full season now. The 128 weighted runs created plus. He's over 2 wins now. He's probably going to be about 2.5 wins by the time Fangraphs updates tomorrow. A 5 for 16 with 6 RBIs is probably at least 0.4, I would imagine. And he just continues to get better and is a much more complete hitter than just a 3 true outcome type guy. And we saw that at times tonight as well. But I think the thing that continues to strike me so much about Jack is, and this may be a little reductive, but I don't think he has the game that he has tonight because of the game he had yesterday last season. if that makes sense. Like he goes 0 for 3, 0 for 4 with a couple really ugly strikeouts, and he had an opportunity. I think he was the tying run in the 8th off Varland and just swung at a first pitch curveball that was in the zone, pounded it into the ground out of the inning. And I tweeted like some of the high leverage stuff with him is not great. Like that's the thing he's got to improve on. Wasn't a wide, a huge criticism, just something he has to work on. He's been great in plenty of other areas. That was just one little thing. Like got to be able to slow the heart rate down a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, like if he did that last year, he's probably 1 for 4 today with 2 punch outs, and the hit is a 50 hopper up the middle or something like that. But tonight, he just the ability to shift things mentally and to figure out the stuff between the ears has been so critical, because the physical tools have never been in question. Probably since he was 7 years old, he has always been awesome at baseball, I would imagine. But this can really change guys' careers, and he made the concerted effort to fix that. Because he knows how, I think obviously he knows how good he is. He's in the big leagues. But he knows, and he knew, I have to be able to fix things upstairs so that I can make the tools work. And he has done that. And I give him a lot of credit to go and just rip things down to the studs in the offseason and rebuild it. And rebuild it during the season. And then in June, took off. And now he's the guy that we think he can be. And I think there's still more ceiling he could reach, which is wild to think. But if this is like maybe 70th percentile of what he can be, I mean, the Royals really do have something special with him. And tonight's a good example of that, but the last 2+ months, almost 3 months, has been an example of that as well.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, like that's a credit to him and his how he's developed mentally and how his approach. I mean, we've seen, like you said, I feel like Jack is a very cerebral guy, and we've seen a lot of Royals players who are very cerebral, like Michael Garcia and Hunter Dozier and those kind of guys that sometimes can like wear their emotions on their sleeve a bit. And Jack has shown that. I mean, you've seen him like when he's had pop flies and he's throwing the bat down, and even when he's swinging wildly too in the box. But I know he's been a lot more free swinging recently, but it does feel like he's free swinging, trying to set the tone. It doesn't feel like he's swinging wildly because he's frustrated and was like, oh, I just need to get a hit. It's like, he's like, I'm swinging because I want to get ahead and I feel confident. I feel like I'm seeing the ball. It's just a little bit, out of the zone. But that's what it was kind of his MO as a player. And it just feels like he's more comfortable now. And thus he's able to keep a lot of his emotions and his focus in check, which we weren't seeing last year. And honestly, probably at some points at the start of this year as well.
Yeah. And I think the at-bat that he had against Woods Richardson in that 6th inning is a pretty good example of his ability to just flush whatever happened, even the pitch before, and just refresh, restart, let's just go. Because he gelled, like he threw him a first pitch curveball that was down, and he kind of jelly-legged and was way out front, fouled it off. But then he doubled it up, and he stayed back, recognized it, and didn't go out front, and then pounded it to the wall, two-hop the wall. And it's like, oh, last season, he probably pounds that breaking ball into the ground or he swings over it again because he's thinking about what happened the pitch before. Like, that is how thin the margins are in the big leagues. And to be able to just reset pitch to pitch, we see Bobby do it, and he does it a lot more overtly. Like it is the look at my bat, deep breath, okay, get in the box and go. But that's what he does to reset for the pitch. Jack has figured that out, and now we're seeing the results of it. And that's probably for first career 5-hit game, but I think he has 9 3-hit games this season. Yeah. He's got a couple 4-hit games, and he can be, and it's so rare to see this in baseball, he can be an offense unto himself. And you don't find that very often. That is a rare quality. Even there are days like as great as Bobby is, he can't do that all the time. Jack has the ability to do it very frequently. Now, some of that is just he's a different hitter than Bobby. Bobby is a much more well-rounded, spray the ball around the yard, turn singles into doubles, pop homers when it's pull side if I need to. But he's going to make his speed be a huge quality to his bat. Jack can hit the ball 440 feet whenever he wants, basically. So they're a little bit different, but if you want Jack to be your 3-hitter for the next half decade or longer, then you need him to do that just every once in a while, not all the time, but on nights like this, it's gonna be the reason why you win a game because he has that ability.
Yeah, that's something you really want to see. It's Jensen is kind of more of your 3 true outcomes hitter. It feels like Jensen's like, I'm getting my walks. I'm gonna hit those bombs. But Jack is a guy, like you said, he's getting multi-hit games. This isn't a guy who's just getting like 1 for 5 with a bomb. It's he's getting 3 hits, he's getting 2 hits, he's getting 4 hits. He's starting to spray the ball all over the field. But he does have that ability to really pull the ball in the air, hit it at a high exit velocity, and that's just going to produce great results like we've been seeing. I mean, 23 home runs from him. We still got about a month to play. He's probably, unless something really cools down, he's probably going to hit 30 home runs, and that's a really huge thing to have for this offense, especially if you can get Vinny healthy again. You have Bobby, staying healthy. If that kind of lessens the need for Salvi to be this 30 home run guy, like maybe Salvi's just a 20 home run guy. That's serviceable enough, for next year to still be a playoff team.
Yeah, especially if they just move him off of catcher. I talked about that on the show this morning. Like he's hitting about 270 over the last 2 months, and in the last 45 games, he's caught 6 times. Mm-hmm. Like I think there is a legit correlation to that. Like he's 36, get him off his feet. Yeah. Let him when he really wants to and is like, hey, I need to be active today. Okay, go play first. And that's fine. Do that for a game, and then you're going to DH the next 5. And then you can go play first again, however they want to do it. But if you want Salvi to catch opening day, cool. If you want him to catch the last game of the regular season, cool. And the other 160, Carter Jensen and whoever you decide your backup catcher is. And I think that is a tenable situation if Salvi does decide to come back for another season, which I imagine he will. Like I don't see that guy will play baseball for as long as he is willing and able. And I know that there's talk of like, oh, maybe he's done. I don't think he's going to be done. I just don't. The $12.5 million for a 37-year-old DH is not necessarily ideal, but you pay up a little bit for the franchise legend.
Yeah,
kind of is what it is.
It's a Miguel Cabrera situation, right? Like you just kind of got to.
Although he's a little bit better at the end than Miggy was, to be fair. Like, and now Miggy is like a surefire first ballot with a bullet Hall of Famer. But the last half decade of Miggy's career was less than ideal, I'll say. Mm-hmm. I do want to shout out before we go to break here. I do want to shout out WMJ896 in the YouTube chat. Hey guys, I just want to say I'm a UK fan that came to Toronto to watch the team play. Saw them Tuesday, and today best feeling ever. A, that's awesome that you got to travel to go see that. And B, thanks for hopping in the chat. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future episodes over across the pond there. And we are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Talk some Noah Cameron and anything else from this game. We'll be right back. Allegedly, we're going to break. Victor, are we good?
Okay, maybe.
Great radio here, folks.
Well, I guess we'll. Oh, he's working through some internet issues on his end.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, we're just going to go ahead and just keep rolling then. And whenever our good man Victor comes back, we'll go to and take the break then. Sorry prematurely, folks. I had Do Not Disturb on my phone, and he sent that 5 minutes ago. So that's on me. Hand up. Got to be better. Okay. So as it turns out, Noah Cameron is human because he gave up 2 runs tonight. Lev Mass in the chat. Jack's nuke must have taken out some satellites and messed with the internet. Honestly,
I would agree. I would agree with that. So
okay, it looks like Victor is back in here. So we are actually going to take a break now. If you're good with that, Victor, and then we'll come back and we'll talk Noah Cameron. Cool.
With Yuka Boom Color Bar, what we're offering is luxury color services, but we're doing it on our client schedules. Didn't want to feel like or be a traditional salon. We wanted it to really feel like something completely different, especially for the Kansas City area. What we were trying to do was trying to find a brick and mortar that we could put a salon in, and it got complicated. And so what we ended up doing was pivoting, and we went into like a business acquisition mode where we were going to find a hair salon and then we were going to turn it into what we wanted to do. And Emprise was 100% behind that.
Like, we didn't just have a contact, we had a team, and they cared, and
we never sat in limbo at all with Emprise. They pushed us through, they helped us, support us. And not only that, but they've been our biggest cheerleaders since the day one.
everybody who wanted our money, it was very difficult. It was very challenging part of it. But the people who were giving us the money, Emprise Bank, that was the easiest part. So we will always be grateful to Emprise.
I'm Cricket,
I'm JC.
and together we're the owners of Yuka Boom Color Bar.
Come see us at Park Place.
David Starnes Allstate Insurance is a proud partner of KC Sports Network, serving the Kansas City area and all throughout the Midwest. If you are looking for new coverage or something that better suits your home, auto, health, or any of your other insurance needs, give Dave and his team a call. Elevate your coverage and be worry-free with David Starnes Allstate Insurance.
All right, you know that moment, the one when you realize you left your favorite sunglasses at the beach or on the roof of your car or at the gas station 3 states away. Well, I've been there too. Then I found Shady Rays and it changed the game. These sunglasses are made for real life. Seriously good-looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. And here's the wild part. If you lose them or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. So now I actually wear my sunglasses without fear. On hikes, at concerts, on the boat, wherever. They have sunglasses for golfing, fishing, hiking, and biking, even sunglasses for kids. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. Go to shadyrays.com and use code KCSN50 for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. I do want to have this note really quick before we get to Noah Cameron. This is from Nick Capel with Royals PR regarding Carter Jensen. And I thought this was a really cool stat that, he has tied Alex Gordon and Johnny Damon for the most leadoff home runs in a single season in Royals history. So that's cool. And then Carter Jensen is the only player since 1961 to have 5 leadoff home runs in a season as a catcher.
Wow.
So cool stats, fun stats with Carter Jensen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, back to Noah Cameron. 6 innings, a 2-run ball tonight, and you feel like it was slightly disappointing because he gave up 2 runs. As it turns out, he's human, as I said before, the wonky break that we took. But 6 innings, 2 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. His season ERA is down to 3.98. When he started calling his own pitches in Detroit 6 starts ago, maybe 7 starts ago at this point, his ERA was 5.27. That is insane to see his ERA drop that far. And I was thinking, if he gets it to 3.98 or the 3.8s by the end of the season, that would be an accomplishment. And it makes you feel even better. The fact that he's done it in a month, roughly, is pretty amazing. And he continues to work efficiently. He continues to throw a lot of strikes, has a ton of confidence in all his pitches. He's really found a mix that works with his stuff, really emphasizing the cutter. He used the changeup less than he has recently. It was more cutter slider tonight, but he's throwing the 4-seam really about 17% of the time. That's about what he's done since he started doing this, which has then allowed the fastball to play up. I talked with him about that on Sunday, where he's like throwing it less and kind of working backwards and throwing guys more breaking balls. You know, when you throw that thing at the top of the zone, it catches him by surprise a little bit more, and he's getting more pop outs and getting more weak contact on that in the air, rather than line drives and whatever else that he was seeing early in the year when he was really emphasizing the 4-seam with the catcher calling pitch con. Him doing it, cutter, slider, change, and then he's going to pop you 93 at the top of the zone, and they're going to hit a weak fly ball. But what he continues to do and shows that he is able to reach a little more ceiling with whatever he's doing right now. And I think he's probably still – this isn't like I'm saying he's going to be the ace of the Royals for the next half decade. So don't mix here. Hey, who knows? Crazier things have happened.
Yeah.
But he might be able to be a 3, and because it felt like he was sturdy 4-5, and that's pretty much all he's ever going to be. But and if that's his floor as an innings eating, he's going to throw you 175 innings in the 4 or 5 spot rotation. That's great. He may be able to elevate to like a 3 and be that type of pitcher. And it doesn't feel like it's a ton of smoke and mirrors. Like last year, there was a lot of that. This feels a little bit more sustainable with the way he's been able to manipulate his pitch mix over this last month or so.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's, this month in 5 starts, 1.87 ERA, 0.80 whip, 24 strikeouts in 33 innings, 9 walks. He just looks like he's in control and command. And like I said, I think Jack misplayed that ball. Maybe if I saw it again, the replay, maybe it was a tougher play than expected. But if Jack makes that play, that's the 6th inning. Probably Cameron's coming out for a 7th, right? But I think it's also nice that, Q has been able to manage him the last couple starts. He had the complete game outing where he kind of was a heavy workload. You kind of get some starts where he gets quality starts, but he gets to stay in the 80 range, which allows him to really kind of conserve that arm. But I think you're right. Like, I think we all kind of thought, about a month or 2 ago that is Cameron really, he's maybe a 4 or 5 guy. Would he maybe be on the outside in looking in, depending what they did in free agency? But now it's like he might be kind of settling in as the number 3 guy. I mean, right now, who are you trusting over Cameron or Lugo? It's like right now I got to say Cameron for next year.
100%.
I think that's really
absolutely right.
A big reality. And you got to give credit to Cameron for really changing the mix, really taking ownership of that. And we've been saying that for a while, but he continues to adjust, and we haven't really seen him getting blown up, even when he's facing more quality offenses. And I know the Blue Jays, they're a little inconsistent, but that's still an offense for the most part that went to the World Series last year. It's not like that's like completely different from what they had. So, and especially coming in for Cameron to be a stopper in a critical Game 3, to really to take the series. I think that shows a lot of maturity from him, and I think you got to feel good going forward with him as part of this Royals rotation plans.
What I've always loved about Noah Cameron is he reminds me so much of Mark Burley, because it is a bulldog lefty going to throw a ton of innings. He's going to get a ton of ground balls. He's going to get some strikeouts, but he's going to get you into the 6th inning or 7th inning most days, and he's going to work really fast. But he has always been that way, even last year.
Yeah.
But now, calling his own game, he's able to even dictate that on his own terms in an even faster manner, which keeps the hitter in the box, keeps guys on their toes. There's less time for them to think, okay, 2-1, he likes to go here. Nope, okay, we're going. And then it's just guessing from there. And he still throws, he throws 4 pitches at least 14 to 17% of the time. You got about a 1 in 5 shot of being right, because he'll throw any pitch in any count, essentially, which I've always loved that quality about him, that he doesn't necessarily have a true go-to. The changeup would probably be it in leverage counts for him, but he'll still throw a cutter up there. He'll throw a 4-seam. He'll throw a breaking ball. He'll throw a slider. It don't matter. But it has been really impressive to see. You talk about the ownership. I think that's the biggest thing. And for a guy that is not even, basically 2 years now into being in the big leagues, to go, hey, let me do this and let's see what happens. And it be the reason that it kind of turns his career around to some degree, because we don't know, like, if they didn't make this decision, what's happening right now with Noah Cameron. Like, it is one of those kind of sliding doors moments that we may look back on in 2 or 3 years. And it's like, oh, shoot, that might be the reason why Noah Cameron is, pitching to a 3.5 ERA once again for the Royals and be that type of guy. So he's going to get blown up at some point between now and the end of the year. It's just the nature of the business. But to see this stretch sustain and feel sustainable, because there's a little bit of like watching Randy Dobnak pitch. The guy's done a yeoman's work for this rotation. Ton of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Like, there is so much of that. Noah Cameron does not feel that way now with the way that he is pitching. So I think there is a lot of credit there for him.
Yeah, I mean, 35% CSW, 29% whiff rate today. I know he didn't get the strikeouts, only 3 Ks, but when you're looking at the whiff and the CSW, that's a lot different than a Dobnak, who's really not getting those kind of CSW or whiff numbers and is really just relying on the weak contact. And Dobnak deserves a lot of credit for that. He's really done a good job mixing things up from a pitching repertoire end. But Cameron feels legit, and I think that's what you got to feel good about, is that this feels legitimate. He's thrown 11 more innings than he did last year, and I think that's also a good sign that he's thrown more innings than he did last year, and he looks better now at the end of the year than he did last year, where it seemed like he did kind of fade a little bit down the stretch, if I recall.
He did.
Because, that was his first season. For him to not just hey, I'm not fading, but I'm actually doing better with more innings, that's kind of what you want to see from a pitcher long term.
Yeah, absolutely. I have one quick thing on Randy Dobnak. I talked about this on the show this morning, or that came out this morning, talking about him because he pitched pretty well last night, all things considered. Gives up the 3-run homer, but
that was it.
6 innings of 3-run ball. You take that any day and twice on Sunday, especially from Randy Dobnak.
Mm-hmm.
Do you put him in that swingman long relief role in 27? Do you bring him back? I think you should. Not if he's the 5th starter, I'll be concerned.
Yes.
But if and that's more a roster building concern than a Randy Dobnak concern.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if he is what they wanted Bailey Falter to be, what they've hoped Mason Black could be, in that multi-inning long relief type role spot start guy, I think he could be pretty valuable in that, with what I've seen, because you can get away with more smoke and mirrors in that than you can being a guy that throws up trying to throw 130 innings. It's just not going to work in this day and age. If it were 1977, Randy Dobnak would get Cy Young votes because he's got a 1.95 ERA.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I've been, I wrote about this at Royals Keep as well. Is he's definitely proven that can be part of this roster next year. I mean, he still has a year of club control, so it's not like he's going to be expensive. I mean, you're probably going to be paying maybe 1.52 million at tops for him for a contract for next year, and then it's he also has minor league options too. So I mean, it's also if you put him in the swing role and he doesn't really do well, it's you can send him to AAA and just kind of wait things out until a pitcher gets hurt or something of that. I think he's got to be part of the equation for next year. Like you said, I'm not wanting him to be a number 5 starter. I don't really want him as part of the rotation, but he could easily fit that Falter or Black role that I think the Royals desperately want, but they just don't have. And I think he could be that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Bevy of moves today, and I want to talk about this, and then any other, if you have anything else, let me know. But Michael Massey hits the injured list because he banged his head on the turf. That's just it'd be one thing if it was a soft tissue or the back, I'd go, God dog it. Right. But you can't, that's just one of those fluky things. It's just unfortunate. And he had been playing so well. It's just brutal. Mason Black optioned. Josh Rojas back up. Beck Way returned from his rehab assignment, which does not mean he is back with the big league club. He felt something in his shoulder. Okay. Way too many times this year have guys gone on rehab assignments and something else pops up.
Yeah.
Very, very weird. And that's 5 or 6 guys that's happened to now, especially on the pitching side. Don't love to see that. That's a bigger conversation, though. The main thing I wanted to get to from the roster moves was Anthony Gose comes up from Omaha, is selected to the big league club. 36 years old, was a Blue Jays, was drafted by the Blue Jays. I think that was 2008 when Hosmer, same draft as Eric Hosmer, as they mentioned on the broadcast. Played a few years with the Blue Jays and the Tigers, and then becomes a pitcher and works his way back up. He got back to the big leagues as a pitcher with Cleveland. I think it was only 3 outings. And then just kind of bounced around. He was playing independent ball in Mexico at the beginning of this year. Dude loves ball. I give him, good for you, man. You'd be mid-30s, just playing play as long as you can. I don't blame that guy one bit. Goes to Omaha, and I looked at it as just you know what? They need warm bodies in the international league. Whatever. I never thought he would actually get a chance. When I saw it today, I was like, oh, that's interesting. But with Daniel Lynch in the rotation now at this point, they needed a second lefty besides Connor Thomas. Very cool, I think, full circle moment for him to be able to go in and pitch in his, against his former club that drafted him as a position player, and he pitched against them. I thought that was very cool, and I'm glad it was a soft landing. It's 13-2. Just don't get blown up, and we're fine. And he did that. I don't have high expectations for Anthony Gose, but just again, like he's probably gonna throw like the lowest of low leverage, like kind of the mop up type guy. But it is very cool that he got back to the big leagues again, and he got to pitch against his former team tonight. Thought that was a cool little side story to the offensive performance that we saw tonight.
Yeah, I was really surprised to see him called up. I mean, I guess he hasn't. I mean, his ERA I know isn't like the greatest, but it's not bad. But
it's the International League too. Like most ERAs in AAA are like in the mid 4s or 5s. So tough to tell.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen other pitchers who've been blown up, like a Stephen Kolek or a Luinder Avila, who don't have good numbers in the International League, and then they come and look a lot better in Kansas City. Gose is really interesting, right? I mean, he was a top prospect for the Blue Jays as a position player, like as an outfielder for a while. I remember him as kind of like I do too. Dynasty League darling, as kind of a guy of like, oh, you got to draft Anthony Gose. He's kind of a 2-pitch pitcher, really good, really decent kind of stuff metrics in AAA with the fastball and the slider. He generates a good amount of whiff in CSW, and we kind of saw that tonight. Just he really attacks, but like you said, he's a gamer, and it's a guy that probably could and should have retired probably a couple years ago. He kept the faith, he kept working at it. And I think you're right. Like, he's going to have a position in this bullpen for the rest of the year, probably low leverage. But you know what? Like, the Royals, they just need guys in the bullpen that can just give them some kind of stability, and might as well give it to a cool story like Gose, who can actually like has something to prove, and at least like, hey, this is a fun story, even if it might just be for another month or so.
Yeah, I'm looking at his metrics now. I mean, the fastball is like 2,200 RPM, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Tonight, it was 20 inches IVB.
Yeah.
That's pretty nutty.
Yes.
That's not nothing, I will say. But again, I think it's just more of a cool story. I don't look at him as like, oh, Anthony Gose is going to be in the 2027 Royals bullpen. But it'll be one of those where you're looking at like, we'll be looking back at this season and go, wait, he played for the Royals? Because you got a few options, like the Matt Harvey Award for that guy played for the Royals.
Oh, yes.
You got a handful of guys this year.
The Chien-Ming Wang, who played for the Royals.
Homer Bailey.
Homer Bailey, he was good. He got traded. He earned a trade deadline deal. Yeah. So, boy, that 2019 season was kind of a blur.
Oh yeah. Well, that was the year. So that was the Soler hit 48 that year.
Yeah,
that was like the year. I think that was the year Chris Owings hit like $1.33, and they were like, "Get out of here."
Yes, opening day, like second.
I remember they lauded that that trade. Like, they were like, "Yes, this guy's gonna be great." The analytics love him, and opening day we're like, "No, oh no."
Yeah, that was
okay.
That was a tough one.
Do you have any final thoughts before we get out of here on this one?
No, I mean, I think it's, you look at Cags, you look at Cameron. I mean, those are two guys who really stood out today, 12 out of 14. The Guardians have been on a really hot streak, recently, and they've kind of benefited from a pretty good schedule playing the Rockies and Angels in back-to-back series. It'd be nice if we can kind of bump the Guardians out a little bit. I mean, we've kind of done that with the Tigers. We kind of did that with the Blue Jays. Hey, let's make it 3 in a row, and let's spoil some playoff hopes or make things a little bit more difficult in Cleveland this weekend.
Yeah, it'll be Michael Wacha against Tanner Bybee tomorrow night on Friday. 6:10 first pitch. Saturday, it's going to be Daniel Lynch against good old Foster Griffin getting a chance to pitch against the Royals for the Guardians. That's a 3:10 first pitch. And then on Sunday, Seth Lugo against Parker Messick, who has been really, really good for the Guardians this year. And that is a 12:40 first pitch. So, yeah, we'll see if the Royals can play spoiler in a couple of spots here and just keep this thing rolling. Win as many games as you can. Might as well at this point.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, Toast Game brought to you by Holiday Distillery. I do not have bourbon tonight because it's late on a Thursday and I have to get up for work in the morning. Yep. But there's a very obvious answer for this and should be taken, but I'm going to go with Anthony Gose. because a guy that has grinded and grinded for years, didn't work out as a position player, works back from rookie ball. I remember reading that story that the Guardians signed him as a pitcher, and he's going to, start in rookie ball, work all the way back, gets to the big leagues. That doesn't happen. You see like the Brett Eibners, Joey Gallo is trying it. Like Tyler Naquin, I think, is another name recently that is trying to come back as a pitcher. It doesn't work. So for him to come back as a pitcher is a rare circumstance. And he not only made it back, but then he gets, I think, DFA'd, or it just doesn't work only after a couple appearances. Again, to reiterate, playing independent ball in Mexico to then get signed by the Royals to then make it to the big leagues again, I think that's a nose to the grindstone. Like, if that doesn't make you want to work hard, I don't know what will, kind of story. And credit to him for a scoreless setting tonight, and we'll see what he does, for the next month or so in Kansas City.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I know Cags had a big night. I know Cameron had another good start. But a story like Ghosts, that's just something we weren't thinking about until like a few hours into the game, until we saw the transaction log, right? And then it's just like, whoa, like, because I mean, we were all expecting Beck Way to be back, and now he's hurt again, which seems to be like the MO for so many pitchers right now on rehab stints in Kansas City. But credit to Ghost for just really having a great outing and getting to do it by the organization that drafted him. Like, that's a really great full circle moment.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I think that is going to wrap things up for tonight. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us late on a Thursday evening. Have a great Friday, great weekend. No post game on Sunday. We're doing it tonight instead of Sunday. Schedules didn't line up. So we will talk to you guys next week. One Royal Way. We'll be back next week as always. And we'll let you guys know when we're going to schedule the next live post game. Talk to you guys soon. Have a great one.